You're sitting at a red light in what looks like a regular family SUV. Next to you, a sleek sports car revs its engine, the driver giving you that look. The light turns green, and before they even get their foot properly on the gas, you're already halfway down the block, silent as a whisper, watching them disappear in your rearview mirror. Welcome to the wild world of electric vehicles, where soccer moms are accidentally driving rocket ships and nobody seems to know what to do about it. Here's something that'll blow your mind. That quiet electric crossover your neighbor just bought? It can probably smoke a Ferrari from 10 years ago. Not kidding. We're talking 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds from something that looks like it should be picking up kids from soccer practice. And the really crazy part? This isn't even the fast version. This is just normal now. I spent some time recently at a track outside Detroit, getting behind the wheel of 3 different electric vehicles, each one more ridiculous than the last. And let me tell you, nothing prepares you for that first time you floor it in one of these things. Your brain literally can't process what's happening. 1 second you're sitting still, the next you're being pressed into your seat like you're on a rocket launch. No build-up, no drama, just instant, face-melting acceleration that makes you question everything you thought you knew about cars. But here's where things get weird. These machines that can outrun supercars, that can make seasoned drivers giggle like kids on a roller coaster, they're not exactly flying off the lots. In fact, after some recent changes to government incentives, the whole electric vehicle market is looking a bit shaky. Which raises a pretty important question. If these cars are so amazing, if they're genuinely better than their gas-powered cousins in almost every measurable way, why aren't people buying them? Let's rewind a bit and talk about how we got here. See, not that long ago, electric cars were basically punchlines. Remember those tiny little things that looked like someone shrunk a minivan in the wash? They were slow, boring, and about as exciting as watching paint dry. The people who drove them were making a statement, sure, but that statement was, I care more about the environment than having any fun whatsoever. Then everything changed. A certain company that I won't name decided to flip the script entirely. Instead of making electric cars for people who wanted to save the planet, they made them for people who wanted to feel like fighter pilots on their morning commute. Their first real attempt was a sports car, and that wasn't an accident. They needed to prove that electric didn't mean boring. They needed to show that these cars could be something you actually wanted, not just something you felt obligated to consider. And man, did it work. Suddenly, electric cars weren't just keeping up with gas cars, they were embarrassing them. We're talking about family sedans that could beat Ferraris in a drag race. SUVs that weigh as much as small houses but can launch like they're shot from a cannon. One electric truck that weighs over 9,000 pounds, 9,000, can hit 60 miles per hour faster than most sports cars from the 90s. That's not evolution, that's revolution. The secret sauce behind all this insanity is actually pretty simple when you break it down. See, a gas engine needs time to build power. You hit the gas, the engine needs to rev up, build pressure, get all its moving parts synchronized. It's like trying to wake up a teenager on a Saturday morning. There's a process and it takes time. But an electric motor? It's got all its power ready to go from the second you touch that pedal. It's like the difference between slowly turning up the volume on your stereo and just hitting the speaker with a lightning bolt. This instant power delivery changed everything about how we think about performance. I know a guy, a professional racing driver who's broken cross-country speed records multiple times. Started with high-performance gas cars, the kind of machines that cost more than most people's houses. Then he switched to electrics and never looked back. He told me something interesting though. When you're driving a gas car at crazy speeds across the country, you're constantly fighting the machine, wrestling with gears, managing engine temperatures, dealing with all this mechanical drama. But in an electric? You're often going slower than regular traffic because you're trying to preserve battery. The challenge isn't about speed anymore, it's about strategy. Now, you'd think with all these advantages, with all this incredible performance, electric vehicles would be taking over. They're faster, they're quieter, they require less maintenance, and if you charge at home, they can be way cheaper to run than gas cars. Some people are saving hundreds of dollars a month just on fuel costs. So what's the problem? Well, turns out there are a few. First up, let's talk money. These things are expensive. Really expensive. On average, we're talking about $9,000 more than an already inflated regular car price. When the average age of cars on the road is pushing 12 years, when people are taking out decade-long loans just to afford a basic vehicle, asking them to pay extra for electric is a tough sell. Sure, you might save money in the long run, but that doesn't help when you're staring at that monthly payment. I drove 3 different electric vehicles at that track, ranging from around 60 grand to well into 6 figures. Even the affordable one would require most people to take out a loan that costs more per month than many people's rent. And that's before we talk about installing a home charger, which can run another couple $1,000s if your electrical panel needs upgrading. But price is just the start of the problems. The real nightmare for most people is the charging situation. Imagine this scenario. You're on a road trip, you need to charge, you find a charging station on your app. Great. You get there and half the chargers are broken. The one that works won't talk to your car properly. You spend 45 minutes on the phone with customer service while your kids are melting down in the back seat. This isn't some rare horror story. This happens all the time. One racing driver told me about attempting a cross-country record run in an electric car. The scariest part wasn't going fast. It was the constant anxiety about whether the next charger would work. He's had to abort multiple record attempts not because the car failed, but because the charging infrastructure did. Imagine planning for days, driving for hours, only to have it all fall apart because a charger's software glitched out. And let's talk about that elephant in the room. Range anxiety. It's real, and it's not going away anytime soon. Americans are weird about this. We might only take 2 or 3 long road trips a year, but we absolutely need our cars to be capable of doing them. It's like buying a pickup truck because you might need to haul something once every 6 months. Is it logical? Not really. But it's how we think. The charging time issue compounds this problem. Even with fast charging, which isn't available everywhere, you're still looking at 20 to 30 minutes minimum to get a meaningful charge. Compare that to the 3 minutes it takes to fill a gas tank, and you can see why people get nervous. Sure, most of your charging happens at home overnight, which is actually more convenient than going to gas stations. But try explaining that to someone who's worried about that one time they might need to drive 500 miles in a day. There's another issue that doesn't get talked about enough. These electric vehicles are heavy. Really heavy. All those batteries add serious pounds, and that weight has consequences. Tires wear out faster. Parking structures need to be reinforced. In an accident, all that weight has to go somewhere, and it's usually into whatever they hit. Some safety organizations are starting to raise alarms about what happens when a 3-ton electric SUV hits a normal-sized car. Physics doesn't care about your good intentions. The performance thing has created its own set of problems too. We've got vehicles that can accelerate like supercars being sold to people who learned to drive in Toyota Corollas. That instant torque that makes electric cars so fun? It can also make them dangerous in the wrong hands. Imagine giving your teenager a car that can go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Now imagine they're texting while driving. Yeah, that's a problem. Some people in the industry are saying we've gone too far with the performance thing. Mission accomplished, we proved electric cars can be fast. Really, stupidly, unnecessarily fast. But now what? One analyst I spoke with put it pretty bluntly. We don't need family cars that can outrun Ferraris. We need family cars that families can afford. There's also something less tangible but equally important. Character. Car enthusiasts talk about this a lot. A good sports car isn't just about numbers on a spec sheet. It's about how it feels, how it sounds, how it communicates with you. Electric cars, for all their impressive performance, can feel a bit soulless. No engine note, no gear changes, no mechanical drama. It's like the difference between playing a video game with all the cheat codes turned on versus actually earning your victories. Sure, you're going fast, but are you really driving? Some manufacturers have tried to address this with artificial engine sounds pumped through the speakers. It's about as convincing as those fake fireplace videos on YouTube. Everyone knows it's not real, and it just makes the whole thing feel even more artificial. But here's the thing. Despite all these challenges, the technology is improving at a ridiculous pace. Charging networks are getting better. Battery technology is advancing. Prices are slowly starting to come down. There are signs that charging times could drop to as little as 5 minutes in the near future. That's gas station territory. The cars themselves are evolving too. The newest generation of electric vehicles aren't just electric versions of gas cars. They're being designed from the ground up as rolling computers. They update their software automatically, learn your driving patterns, and can potentially do things no gas car could ever dream of. Imagine a car that knows you're a new driver and limits its acceleration until you've proven you can handle it. Or one that can see dangers you can't and react before you even know there's a problem. Some companies are betting everything on this future. They don't have gas cars to fall back on, so they have to make electric work. These are the companies pushing the boundaries, driving innovation, finding ways to make electric vehicles not just better, but actually practical for normal people. They're the ones figuring out how to cut costs, improve charging, and solve the real problems that keep people from making the switch. Meanwhile, traditional car companies are stuck in a weird position. They've got profitable gas car businesses they don't want to cannibalize, but they also know electric is probably the future. So they're hedging their bets, making some electric vehicles but not really committing fully. It's like watching someone try to keep one foot on the dock and one on a boat that's pulling away. Eventually, you've got to pick a side. The enthusiast community is split too. Some are all in on electric, loving the instant power and futuristic tech. Others are holding on to their gas engines like the last life raft on the Titanic. There's something primal about a roaring engine that an electric motor just can't replicate, no matter how fast it goes. But maybe we're thinking about this all wrong. Maybe the future isn't about electric vehicles replacing gas cars exactly as they are now. Maybe it's about reimagining what personal transportation looks like entirely. When cars first replaced horses, we didn't just build mechanical horses. We redesigned our entire world around what cars could do. The same thing might need to happen with electric vehicles. What really struck me during my time with these cars is that we're at this weird inflection point. We've proven beyond any doubt that electric vehicles can be incredible machines. They're faster than almost anyone needs, more efficient than gas cars, and getting better every year. But we haven't figured out how to make them work for regular people living regular lives. The next phase of this revolution won't be about making electric cars even faster. It'll be about making them boring in all the right ways. Boring to charge because it just works. Boring to buy because they cost the same as everything else. Boring to own because they just do their job without drama. That's when electric vehicles will really take over. Not when they're exciting toys for rich people, but when they're just cars. The performance war proved a point. Electric vehicles aren't golf carts. They're not compromise machines for environmentalists. They're legitimate, sometimes superior alternatives to gas cars. But now it's time for the real work. Making them accessible, practical, and normal. Because at the end of the day, most people don't need a car that can beat a Ferrari. They need a car that can get them to work, take their kids to school, and not stress them out about finding a charger. So yeah, that electric SUV at the stoplight can probably destroy a sports car in a drag race. That's cool and all. But what really matters is whether the person driving it can afford the payment, find a working charger on their road trip, and trust that it'll still be running in 10 years. Get those things right, and the performance is just a bonus. A really, really fun bonus that makes you giggle every time you floor it, but still, just a bonus. The future of transportation is electric. That much seems clear. The question isn't if, but how fast and how smooth the transition will be. And despite all the challenges, all the problems that still need solving, I'm optimistic. Because if we can make a 9,000-pound truck accelerate like a sports car, we can probably figure out how to make a charger that actually works when you need it. Now, if you found this deep dive into the wild world of electric vehicles interesting, do me a favor and hit that like button. Seriously, it helps more than you know. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, where we dig into the stuff that actually matters beyond just the marketing hype. And hey, drop a comment below. Tell me about your experience with electric vehicles, or why you're holding out. I read all of them, even the ones telling me I'm completely wrong about everything. Sometimes especially those ones. Until next time, keep questioning what you're told, and remember, Just because something can go fast doesn't mean it should. Unless you're at a track. Then definitely see what that instant torque feels like. Trust me, it's worth it.